You're listening to a Rev FM production podcast. Welcome to Pastors Live, the show that discusses things of the Bible and current events for people who love to laugh. And now, the hosts who answer questions with more questions. It's Pastors Dave, Ty, Shane, and the other guy.
Hey everybody, it's Pastors Live. It's Tuesday, it's January 14th, and today is Ratification Day. By the way, that's a big deal.
That's
for
rad,
us.
man.
It is. That's when, the Americas were
with Paris.
established, with Paris. So that's a big deal and brings an end to the Revolutionary Wars. So I just want to say, hey, that's a great thing today. Hope you guys knew that was today. And then also we've got some great Bible readings. We're in Matthew chapter 12, Proverbs chapter 3, Psalm 14, 2 Chronicles 26. And if you want to participate in the program, if you have a comment or a question, Pastors Live at therev.fm, Pastors Live at therev.fm. But guys, did you guys celebrate Ratification Day when you guys were in elementary school? Dave, did you do that when you were in elementary school?
That's a negatory.
That's a negatory?
We did not.
Did you do that?
If they didn't do that 400 years ago when Dave's elementary, we did not do it in mine.
Wow. Which leads us to the second.
Nice. The second day is Feast of the Fools Day.
Yeah. So
I'm kidding, Dave. I love you, buddy.
So, the fact that he's wearing an Argyle sweater vest this morning when you did that, that's cold, bro. That's just cold. Hey, so we've got some great guys in the studio today. We've got Gary Austin, the voice of the Valley.
Hey, friend.
The man, the myth, the legend. We also have the Potato Head family and Bob's Big Boy. We also have a thing of SpaghettiOs that they didn't eat. They ate all the rubber ducks, apparently, over the break. Wow. They're
carnivores.
They're carnivores. That's right. That's right. We've got Pastor Shane's here today.
Good morning.
Pastor Dave is here today.
God bless you.
And then we got Pastor Dean here today as well.
Hello.
And then we got Pastor Steve here today.
Howdy.
We're going to see if he'll say more than that today. We're going to
Maybe.
see what we can do. That's twice
If you're
as much
lucky.
Steve, what you eating over there?
Yeah, what are you
eating?
Nothing.
It's a new week, a new Steve.
New week, new Steve. New week, new donut.
What's that
That's
nothing you're putting in your mouth over
It's
there,
a nothing
Steve?
donut.
It's a
It's
nothing
a nothing
donut.
donut.
Yeah, okay.
Like
Just
a big
air.
nothing burger?
So it's so I
Wow.
appreciate that he's learned how to use napkins since last week, though.
Good job,
I think
buddy.
that's true.
I'm
Good
noticing
job, man.
there's not
that
as
was,
much frosting over
That
his
was horrible last
sweat.
week.
This week.
I didn't know what to do. I was speechless.
Well, he ate his Steve, and apparently the Steve was not agreeing with Steve, and there was just there were little pieces of Steve
It
everywhere.
literally exploded on you. That was
Okay,
weird.
I think we need to give some context. So Dean has a donut at the donut shop called the Steve. It is a glazed croissant, and it's pretty radical. So it's
Donut with a croissant.
Oh, a donut with a croissant. Oh, it's a croissant
It's what a
wrapped
cronut.
donut.
Yes, it's what a cronut should have been.
Okay,
A cronut is it's a croissant cut like a donut. This is a glazed ring donut wrapped with a croissant.
And then glazed.
My brain is exploding.
Yeah, I know. My mouth is
stomach
watering.
ache.
Yeah, I know. I'm struggling right now. So, guys, we had a question. We had a comment that came in.
Yes.
Last week from Doug Heath. In Idaho Falls. So hey
Doug.
Hey, man.
Doug.
It's
How
good
you
to
doing,
see-
buddy?
So this is Pastors Live. I had a rock. I had a rock in my shoe.
Ouch.
Don't know where it came from, but it was there. I could feel it. It hurt, but didn't do anything about it until I couldn't deal with it anymore that day. I said, man, I can't. I have to do it right away.
Yeah,
I'm
take it out, man.
Yeah,
Doug is not a princess.
Yeah, Doug's not. No, Doug's a hardened man. He's good to go here. It made me think of all the things we have in our life that we just work around or deal with. It's ugly. Just wanted to share this with you because I like the pastor's program. It made me think and laugh sometimes at the same time. Thank you from Doug.
True.
And so,
That's a great illustration.
Yeah,
Doug.
because sometimes we're not thinking, and that's what makes us laugh. But
I've never laughed about having a rock in my shoe or my sandal.
No,
It's not
I can't.
funny.
I'm the first guy that
I'm a total princess, man.
I can't have something in my feet.
I got a little something in my shoe or my sandal.
It's coming off.
It comes
right now.
It's
Good
almost
on you,
as
Doug.
bad as a piece
I
of
aspire
meat
to
in
be
your
like
meat
Doug.
tooth.
Say it again.
I said it's almost as bad as a piece of meat in your meat tooth.
Wow.
Think about that one for
Yeah.
a minute.
Can I not
Hashtag
think about
meat
that?
tooth.
No. Hashtag meat tooth. I like it.
Hashtag
I don't think it has
That's
anything to do
maybe
with
that's
a
a
meat
movement. Should we?
hashtag
The
meat
meat
tooth
tooth movement.
Doug, are you feeling loved here, Doug? Are you feeling the empathy?
Yeah.
You know what? though? I do love that point. I love that point in Luke chapter 4. Jesus, when he goes back to Nazareth, he comes back and he's in the synagogue and he quotes the Isaiah prophecy. I'm here to restore. I'm here to bring back or to heal the broken heart. I'm here to
So the captives
there's
free.
captives free. There's 5 of those, and then he says later on, he says, this prophecy has been fulfilled in your hearing. And I was thinking about it, going, how often we hold on to our pet sins, how often we hold on to heartache, how often we hold on to those things that ensnare us and put us into captivity, when Jesus said, hey, I'm the one who came to free you from that. Mm-hmm. And it's just we hold it, and I don't know why. It's like I was teaching on this the other day and gave the examples of when my kids were real young and they'd want to do it themselves, and you try and help them. Hey, let me carry that for you, buddy. No, I want to do it, Daddy.
No, I
and
got
it's
it.
bigger than them. And it's like, man, you are never designed to carry the weight of this burden you're carrying. Give it to God. His shoulder's big enough. Jesus came to do that work, to take that burden. We just need to give it to him.
Yeah. There are times, I remember like hiking where you're in a spot where you can't stop and take off your shoes, and you got a rock in there, and it's irritating the bottom of your foot.
And you have to bear with it.
And you have to bear with it, right? And sometimes, like Doug's saying, you can get used to that and just keep going or whatever. But spiritually, that's a dangerous place to be. You don't want to get used calloused to it. You want to be able to just take your shoes off and let Jesus get that rock out of there. But also, I was thinking about where Jesus says, hey, you should wash feet. You know, take the shoes and the sandals off of one another, and you should wash each other's feet and
'cause
clear
you're
up
walking
all
in
of
the
that
world,
stuff. Right.
But you also, he's got the whole thing about you're so worried about the speck in your brother's eye, and you got a 2x4 hanging out of yours,
Yeah.
And those irritants, the sooner you deal with the irritant or the 2x4 or the pebble in your shoe, the sooner you'll have compassion for someone else's irritant that they're dealing with.
Well,
That's really good.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is if you think about it, like I walk around in bare feet a lot, especially in the summertime, and I'll walk through the grass, the yard. I'll do yard work outside, unless I'm using a shovel. I got to put shoes on for that, but I'll walk around in bare feet a lot. I grew up that way. I don't have a problem having an irritant on me when I'm walking on the world, right? Really, it's just you go, oh, okay, that's a little sharp. I need to move my foot, right? But when it's trapped in your shoe,
It's a different story.
it's a different story. It's kind of like it's kind of like if you think about it, I can put the boat on the water, but I want the water out of the boat. I think sometimes for me, it's like when I'm thinking about shoes or something like that, I think it's isolating, right? I'm isolating myself from the world, and when the world gets in that, it's like it's agitating to me, and I don't want it there. And that, like Dave's the same way. When we go and we float Big Springs or things like that, right? Float or walk the first mile, right? Because by the time the water's warm enough, it's low, right? And I don't know if it's ever actually warm enough. But you're there and you're pulling. You're constantly pulling. Wow, Shane, welcome to the room. You're constantly pulling those things out from it, and even though I'm not walking, I can't have that between that which is supposed to isolate me from those things. And I think we need to actually do that. We need to say, look, I'm in Christ. If anything in the world is between me and it's got to go. I got to get rid of it.
Right, get it out. Right.
Yeah, get it out.
Do you agree with that, Steve?
Yes.
Steve, what were we talking about?
I was distracted by the bottle opening over there.
My bad. Well, Jesus says in Matthew chapter 12, because that's our reading today, right?
Yep.
It's a little bit past the assigned verses, but Jesus talks about this idea of after a spirit comes out of a man, a demon comes out of a man, that the man has to replace what has been taken out with something greater than evil, right? Because if he just leaves it neutral, then that enemy, that demon is going to come back with buddies, and the last state of the man is going to be worse than the first, right? And I kind of was thinking about that with the rocks. Is like, man, if you take one out and you don't take measures to like avoid getting more in, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And so that's the importance of a relationship with Jesus and keeping him close. And like Ty was saying, you know, guarding your shoe, guarding your life, guarding guarding from those pebbles.
Right. Hey, on a different note, unless somebody else has something to add to that, to our
Let me
listener,
see if I got
to our email.
Now he's going to speak up. Yeah.
Shifting gears just a little bit. I really enjoy. I appreciate the Proverbs. Today we're in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 9 and 10. And he says, "Honor the Lord with your substance, and with the first fruits of all your increase. So shall your barns be filled with plenty, and your presses shall burst out with new wine." This is such an interesting thing. You know, we're talking about segueing out of Doug's email. We're talking about paradoxes, right? We're talking about things that you have to do that are maybe inconvenient, but in doing them, it becomes more comfortable or safe or whatever word you might want to put in there. It's a paradox. So you have to inconvenience yourself. Man, I got to stop, take off my shoe, get the rock out of there, because now there's a level of comfort which gives me more effectiveness, more productivity, whatever it might be. And here's another paradox. Hey, do you want your barns filled? You want your oil presses to be overflowing? Yes, of course. Give it away.
Right. It doesn't make sense.
Do what now, Lord? Yeah, your first fruits. The very first gleaning, the first part of the harvest, give it up. Give it to me. And that's going to, it's going to fill your barrels. It's going to fill your presses.
What?
I mean, I love that. What have you guys experienced that in your Christian walk? I mean, Gary, I can't remember. How many years have you been a Christian now?
22 now.
22 years. Steve, you've been in ministry for 30, so you've been saved for at least 20.
At least. Yeah, you wait.
Those assembly guys, you got to watch them, you know?
You get saved about 10 years in, and then you're good to go.
You work real hard for it, right?
Yeah.
But you've been a Christian for 35, 40 years?
Yes, well, since I was like 10.
Yeah, so about
20 years? No.
Wow.
No.
Ty, I've known you almost from the beginning of your walk with Christ, almost 40 years.
Yeah, almost.
Right?
I came to faith. I'd say right shortly thereafter that we met. Yeah.
Shane got saved a minute ago.
Right.
About a minute.
Right.
When I met Dave.
6 years, 7 years?
Coming on 9, dude.
9 years?
Coming on 9.
And Dean?
About 35.
About 35 years, okay. So I'm the old guy in the room, of course. I've been saved for almost 60 years. Well, 60 years. 60 years this next week. Next week will be 60 years, yeah. So in your beginning walk with Christ, who talked to you, or how did you learn, if it wasn't somebody talked to you, how did you learn the principle of giving and faithful giving to the Lord? And have you experienced, and I'm not talking about, I gave God a tithe of $50 and he let me win the jackpot of 500, or he fixed my carburetor miraculously, whatever. We've all heard the stories. But how have you seen in a very practical way that when you give of your first fruit, when you give of your increase to the Lord, that you actually and we don't give to benefit, we give out of obedience.
Right.
But how have you seen that it has benefited you, and who taught you that, or how did you learn it?
For me, it was going through the scriptures and discipleship, and then just learning, the practices and disciplines of being a Christian, right? And so One of the verses.
So it's a discipline. Giving is a discipline.
It's a discipline. You have to discipline yourself to do it, because in my humble opinion, which I highly respect, right?
Etiquette. I know who you've been listening to.
It's not the natural man, like the natural man who's born into sin wants to receive and take and build bigger barns, so to speak, right? But when we have the Spirit of the Lord, we get the spirit of giving and blessing other people, right? And so, practicing that, I love where God says, challenge me on this, right?
Malachi,
He's challenged me on this, and let's have a give off, so to speak, right? And when you're not stingy, I love it. There's been so many times where it's just like, here, you've asked, you need some help, or here's where this can go to, and you're not stingy. And what almost happens every single time is randomly, sometime in the future, after I do that, God provides something bigger and better.
Has He ever done it miraculously? A full-on miracle, like that's the Lord.
100%.
Yeah.
Because when the knock comes on the door, somebody at church hands you something after, hey, I paid this guy or helped this guy out or used this amount of money for whatever, right? I've got too many stories to share where, a couple weeks later, you get like double that.
Perfect.
It's crazy, man. And then you just get this big old smile on your face and you go, God's so awesome. Let's do it again.
What about you other guys?
I would say I learned it from actually Ty in youth group.
There you go. So your youth pastor taught you.
My youth pastor taught
happens
us.
to be sitting across from you.
Right,
Yeah, weird, huh? This isn't brownie points. But no, legitimately.
Just free donuts for a year.
I do remember the Bible studies. Obviously, I don't remember which one. I do remember in the Bible study, though, him talking about people who give hilariously.
Yeah.
And he was dealing with the question of, is it wrong to be wealthy? And kind of making a point that when you're given more is required of you to give, and just that whole thing. And I remember as a kid sitting there going, Lord, I want to give you everything I have, and not so I can gain, but just that, Lord, I want to be able to give back to you. And he said something that really stuck with me, and I've never forgotten it. Is he said, give whatever you have. If you have time, give it.
Yeah.
If you have a house that's great for gathering, use it. If you have a truck, man, use it. Use it for the Lord. Give whatever you have, give to the Lord and see what He'll do. Practically speaking, when I, dealing with the donut shop and the business, that was really a lesson the Lord gave to me when we started was, Dean, this is not yours. I'm entrusting it to you. I'm doing the work for you. You're to follow that through and walk that through as that way. And it hasn't always been easy, but we started that way. There were some times when I went, Lord, I guess if you're going to close it, you're going to close it. And just about the time when I thought for sure we were there, the Lord turned the page. And now I'm being able to, the next season, I'm being able to minister in whole new ways through Him opening doors and being able to expand and do more stores. So
nice. Steve?
Yeah. I was, as a young lad growing up in church, my parents taught me.
Yeah.
I would watch them giving, and then they would instill that in me throughout the years. And my mom, she was probably one of the biggest givers that I've ever seen in my life, and would give when she had none. Even when she had her business, she would give to her employees when she didn't even take home for a couple of years. And so you witnessed generosity. Oh, yeah. Yep, and that has been instilled in me for years now. And even when the going gets tough, I just still try to find a way to
both of you guys, your businesses have been good teachers for you of, oh boy, it's a lean month or it's a lean season, but God always has come through for you guys.
Always. And He always comes through. And not that, like you said, not that we give to receive,
right?
But when we're obedient in that, He honors that.
Yeah. And when it's time to shut down, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because it was the Lord's to begin with.
Yeah. Exactly.
Love that.
Right.
Yeah.
Pastor Ty, I know I've heard several of your stories, but how did you learn giving?
I'm still learning giving. I want to clarify that because I think we really don't understand biblical grace the way we really should sometimes. It's like, and God has given to us, but my life is a life that's given back in return. Mm-hmm. We talk about loyalty, we talk about allegiance, we talk about those things, to Christ and responding to the beautiful gift of grace, and it's weird when you give somebody a gift and they don't thank you for it and they just, go back off. It's like responding. But I think the biggest thing for me learning how to give was actually something like for Dean, and for Steve, I remember watching my parents give in church. I do remember watching my dad actually make change in the offering plate, but because it was the one on the stick, and they rattled it in front of him, so he put in a 20 and took out a 10. But and of course, to the
which is better than going the other way.
Which is better than
putting in a 10, taking out a 20.
Yeah,
look, God doubled my money.
That's right.
Yeah. I like this.
That's given, you shall receive. It does work.
But the issue was though that was just that financial gift. I mean, I had no concept of that until. My parents were part of a small church that was kind of building a school and doing stuff like that. And then we were there. I mean, I remember being there and painting and working and doing all of these different things. I remember participating in church with my parents before it got a little crazy with them and things got crazy with the church. I remember seeing it. So it was really shown to me. I mean, it's not like somebody opened up the Bible and said, here's what you give.
You caught it rather than having been taught it.
Yeah, no, I think I saw it. And so I think what happened was for me, my natural work ethic that was shown in my home connected me to a kingdom ethic once I understood it. Like
once you got saved and
once
could
I got
reflect,
saved, I'm like, well, if I would do this at work, I would do this for the Lord. If I would do this, of course, I ended up, my work is for the Lord, and right. So, but you do everything you do it as unto the Lord.
One of my teachers, my grandmother, Mom Conley, she was famous for saying this: if you've been forgiven, you'll be forgiving, and you'll be for giving.
Nice.
That's good. Yeah. Go, Grandma Connolly. Hey, listen, we're going to end with Grandma today because we're out of time. Hey, listen, you're loved, your family, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow.
You've reached the end of another episode of Pastors Live, a Rev FM production podcast. Thank you for listening. Submit your questions and comments by email to pastorslive@therev.fm. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review from your favorite podcast listening platform. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon so you don't miss the next episode drop.